Hi all, it's Mike Flies here. I want to give you a brief description of my parts today for the Mavic Float Kits that I've designed and am selling. Starters, I want to say that this is not my primary business, so sorry if I can't keep up with production or whatever. I actually have a couple businesses that I run. This is just kind of a side thing that goes with the drones that I love flying, and we use the video and photo stuff as part of our business, primary business and secondary business. So let's discuss the parts. Before we get into the parts, let's discuss the Mavic a little bit. The Mavic weighs 1.6 pounds. It is a very light drone. That said, the motors, the batteries, all that is designed around supporting this light weight. So when we design these parts, we have to keep them light so we don't affect the performance of the drone. A lot of people worry about battery performance, and we get that. We do too. But one of my more primary concerns is the stress it puts on the motors and stuff. The motors were not designed to carry much more weight than what the drone actually is, and we don't want it to cause any failures. So the parts are very light because the drone's light. It doesn't take a lot to support it on the water or on the ground. So we build the parts very light. When you build light plastic parts, they're a little on the fragile side. They're very easy to break. So please be careful with them. If you break a part, take a picture of it, email it to me. I'll gladly send you a replacement. So we have our rear mount that we're very proud of. We have our front mounts with the retention bands. The retention bands are printed out of a TPE, a rubber material, so they're stretchy. They're designed to be 3 millimeters smaller than what they actually should be, which gives them the stretch to make them stay on the drone, so the floats stay on. The front mounts are labeled front. Some of your prints may be harder to read than others. If you've got both of them facing you and they say front, they should be a mirrored image of each other. If they're not, send me a picture, I'll send you the proper one. But ideally, you should have one left, one right. And of course, when you install them, they go like that. And then you should have 4 of the bolts, 4 plastic washers. Okay, so let's look at an installation now. I take my Mavic, pull the prop guards off. I'm sorry, this is my first live stream video, so I seem a little nervous and jumpy. It's because I am. We'll fold these out. Pull the prop block off the bottom. And we'll fold these out. Now, what we stated from the beginning, when you install these, set your Mavic down flat on a table, upside down. Do not try to hold it and install the parts at the same time. That's a surefire way to damage something. So we want to do this. And the first thing I want to install is going to be this rear mount. So when you're separating the rear mount slip lock, it's important that you pull on the slip lock while lifting up and pushing on the tab, like that. And that's why we built this tab a little taller on this side, so that when it's on the drone, you can remove it by doing the same thing. There you go, like that. It's also important to note that the squish area between this, squeezing this together, is not what holds it on the drone. If I take that totally off, what holds us on the drone is the fitment of this plastic tang into the plastic slot of the skid on the bottom of the Mavic. These plastic slots on the skid, they actually will flex back and forth and slide back and forth, and if you've ever had one pop out, we've had them apart. They're just little plastic tabs that go forward and backward of them, and they'll come out and go back in if you're not careful with them. But if you just push this in there like that, it's pretty solid, right? And it doesn't even have the other side on it. So it's not the pressure of the squish. It doesn't have to be a tight fit. It's the snugness of this fitting in there. So I'll slip this back on, leave a little bit of a gap. So we will install this just like we talk about in the instructions. I'll support this a little bit, although I told you to do it flat. So if you squeeze that there and you squeeze that there, you get a pretty good fit. Now, I have had 2 people, which I guess isn't bad out of over nearly 200 of these we've shipped at this point, tell me that there's a gap here and that it needs to be smaller and things like that. Well, these plastic pieces, like I said, move back and forth, and there may be a little bit of a gap. That's not what holds it in. It's not the tension of these. So if you squeeze this like that, guess what? You get a gap. Okay? That's why I tell you to squeeze this side, right? To squeeze this side, then squeeze this side separately, and better yet, do it with both hands at the same time. That helps push the plastic pieces so they don't flex in. It pushes them out where they need to be. If you've got a little bit of a gap on one side, there's a little bit of a gap on this one. It's not exactly perfect. You can actually push it so you get an equal gap on both sides. I assure you that this thing isn't going nowhere. Okay? It's staying on there. And keep in mind that it's not holding the drone by one of these upside down like this. Right? It sets like this, and the thing weighs 1.6 pounds, and this is only holding theoretically half that weight. And actually it's a little bit less when you do the math of the leverage. Okay, so rear mount installed. Front mounts. They labeled front. So obviously you don't want the front facing backwards. You want the word front, or what appears to be a word front, facing forwards. You put that on like that. The retention band's kind of tight. So we push that down like this. Boom. All the way down. You should be able to see the foot in the window over here. Same with the other front mount. Put that down. Front mounts are installed. Now you get your own foam balls, you drill them at right in the center as best you can. And when you get the ones we sent you, which we pre-drilled those into the center, you slip, excuse, these balls are all beat up, these are my original beta balls. You put the screw in, you put the plastic washer on. You may have to trim the washer a little bit to fit. Some of these parts may need a little bit of fit and finish, some sandpaper, some trimming done to them. You thread the ball in. Our slots at the end of the screw is designed to fit any coin or whatever. I use my thumbnail. If you use your thumbnail, you're less likely to over tighten these. Once again, these are very fragile, very easy to break. So you just want to snug it down. Thumbnail works good. Okay. You can put all 4 of the bolt floats on. I'm going to add all 4 washers on them. There you go. Preparation's everything with this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. And the other 2. My neighbors drive by. Okay. You snug them all up with your thumbnail. And you're ready to go fly. Water, land, snow, sand, whatever. We didn't just throw this together. We put a lot of design in it. That's why the angles are what they are, to help keep the floats out of the camera. My buddy bought one of the other drone kits, float kits that's out there originally before we ever did these. And we were always getting the floats and the camera on it. He didn't like it, so we spent a lot of time developing that and then trying to keep it so it would set right on the land and set right on the water so that it takes off as straight as possible the way it was designed to. Also a lot of work in keeping the sensors unrestricted by the floats in the back, and help keeping everything designed so you get minimum splash, if any, on the bottom of the drone. Okay, so when it comes time to take this apart, these just slip right off. You'll see that a lot of people, me included originally, would store these on the floats. I just put them in a little bag and I'd carry them in my kayak with me, and I just left the floats threaded to the parts. What I found is, especially when you put it in a bag and pack it in a kayak or somewhere, that is a recipe to have a broke bolt. Right? They're just not that strong. They're made kind of light. We've done some measures to increase the strength, and in return they're a little bit heavier now. But we recommend that you unthread the floats to remove it, and store the floats separate from the brackets. Okay. And we'll do the same thing here. Hopefully your floats are probably a little tighter on the screws than mine are these days. Like I said, these are the original ones. They've been on and off and had 100 bolts stuffed through each of them as we went through development and R&D on them. And one more time, when you're taking this back piece off, make sure that you pull on this at the same time lifting up and pushing on that. They just got to come loose from the slot, and you can pull the other side out. It's good to go. Okay, now for a treat. If you stuck around this long, the video is getting a little longer than I like. I'm a firm believer that 2 or 3 minutes is about the max anybody will watch a video. I'm going to install it real quick and give you a little sneak peek. So put this back on. We'll go boom and boom. And we'll squeeze them both together, an equal gap. Front facing forward. slip that down, and front facing forward, we'll slip that down. I know I told you to leave it flat. The only reason I'm lifting it up is to show to the camera what's going on here. And a sneak peek. So this is what we've been testing lately, the hard plastic floats. These actually came initially from a thought that we would print them out of the Ninja Flex, the TPE, the rubber stuff that we print our retention bands out of. That's so you could squeeze them and stuff them in your bag, right? They'd fold up small. Great idea. Probably not going to ever happen. The problem with the TPE is it prints at about 10 millimeters a second, which means that, yeah, it would probably take a day and a half, 2 days to print 4 floats out of TPE on one printer. Yeah, that's just more than we've got. So what we've got here is we've got a hard plastic float. So my initial idea was I was going to put green ones up front and red ones in the back, because one of the things we've noticed with the white floats is this is a small drone. It's hard to spot in the sky. So when it's farther away from you, you can see the white floats. They help keep track of it. If you put green in the front and red on the back when it's far away and you can't tell which way is front and rear, it'll help you keep it oriented. They're hollow. We had to print the studs separate to make them strong enough to hold it because they're printed solid. And we had to put some little brackets on this to help keep them hollow so they would work. I've thought about maybe punching a hole in the top and filling them with foam. I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts are. Now here's the deal. So honestly, I'm not trying to sell you anything here. There's no real advantage to these floats over the foam floats, functionally wise. You will never sink a foam float. If you go into the boating industry, I fly airplanes, seaplanes as a hobby. You play with that, you will find styrofoam is widely used throughout the seaplane and the boating industry. Why? You can't sink it. If you got 4 of these things strapped to your Mavic with fishing line, these are going to keep it from sinking. It may be underwater. If it goes upside down, these floats will keep it from sinking. It'll get wet, but at least you'll be able to recover it. You will never sink styrofoam. If you've ever owned a boat, you've ever owned a canoe. I have some kayaks. My wife and I like to do kayaking. Boats and flying boats, they have bilge pumps in their hulls for a reason. Kayaks and stuff have drains on their hulls for a reason. These things all leak, so theoretically my floats don't really leak too much. But if you let this thing sit in the water for hours, you'll probably find 2-3 grams of water would seep into each of the floats. That will never happen on the styrofoam. So the styrofoam is better from a functionality standpoint as far as that goes. Now that said, if you never damage these floats, they're not going to leak quickly. They fly very well on and off the water. There's no weight savings with them though. So other than the fact they're prettier, maybe they're not, who knows? That's something everybody's different about. And they might be able to help you identify front to rear better if they ever send me the green filament. I ordered green, they sent me red. They might be able to help you orient it. And so maybe if you're doing a professional shoot for somebody, you don't want these foam balls underneath it. These look a little better. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm not totally sure I'm going to go into production with them or not. We're having fun testing them. Got a beta tester out with them now, and I've been testing them for a few weeks myself. So let me know. Any other feedback you got, let me know. I'm interested in what you got to say. Please send me an email at info@mikeflies.com. You can go to the website, mikeflies.com. I'm interested in what you got to say. You need help with the kits, let me know. We've shipped these things all over the world. It's amazing. I made the video and it's got over 100,000 hits. It's been out, I don't know, 7 weeks or something. And that's not a lot for some videos, but for me it's crazy. I've been putting videos on YouTube for 10 years or longer, probably 15. Never had a response like that. And I know it's not me, not my great video. It's just the Mavic's a really cool drone, and you guys want to see stuff with the Mavic. I get that. I love it. I've owned dozens of drones. I've been flying RC helicopters for years, since the early 2000s, and this is probably my favorite copter I've ever owned. It's a lot of fun. Let's see, what else did I do? I'm probably rambling on. So, send me your questions, send me your comments on the bottom of the video. Thanks for watching the other video. If you want to order one of these kits, I'm sorry with production. I get some people, talking to me about production problems, that it's slow. And I try to be as honest as I can with them. Right now we're saying 3 to 5 weeks, I think, on production, and that's just because I'm getting ready to take a trip, which basically means that I'm shipping out a bunch today, production halts when I'm gone. I'm the guy that runs the printer. I'm a one-man operation with this. This is not my primary business. Somebody said I should hire an assistant. Believe it or not, I'm not making enough money to hire an assistant. Anybody that's done 3D printing knows that this is not the best way to manufacture anything. You know, if I was smart and really wanted to make a business out of it, I would do molds, right? An injection mold, the whole thing. It's just not worth my time and money at this point to do that. I have been talking to other companies about manufacturing it, and if I get a decent enough quote that would allow me to keep the pricing close to where it is, because I think the pricing is probably at the limit. If you raise it much more than this, I don't know that I would buy them. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not making a fortune on these things. It's tough work running 3D printers around. So I'm open to suggestions you have. I appreciate what you bought. I appreciate your patience with shipping on these. I ship them out as fast as I can. I ship warranty stuff out usually the same week I hear from you. I'm taking a long motorcycle trip for work. It's actually part of my job. It's my primary function. I'm a professional in the motorcycle industry. I have ran my own business in that for over 11 years now, and been doing it my whole life. So you might look on the YouTube channel. I don't know if I'll do it. I'll probably do it on this channel, on Mike Fly's channel. I'm planning on doing some video footage of the ride. I'm riding from Florida to Denver, so if you want to follow along with that, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on your best bet for that would be Instagram, which is @Mike_Flies, or Twitter @Mike_Flies, FLYS. And last but not least, you guys that have these kits, you got some video footage, you've got some photos. I've seen some already that some guys have put up. Please share them with me. Share links in the bottom of the video and the notes on these videos here. Send them to me via email. Send them to me via Twitter. I want to see this. I want to see what you're doing, good or bad. If you're having issues, I want to know. Let me try to help out. So, sorry it's so long in the tooth. Hope it's halfway decent for a live video. Sorry about the lighting in this. Whatever. Anyway, hope it works. See you guys. Take care.